With everything that's been happening with AI, is it still worth becoming a graphic designer? In the comments section of one of our recent videos, we got asked a great question. Shahir7x asked, would graphic design be a good field to go into considering everything that's been going on with AI? Right now, in a lot of different creative fields, people are feeling a little bit afraid of losing their jobs. Whether they are graphic designers, actors, musicians, even dancers and choreographers are feeling a little bit uncertain about the advancement of AI. I should start by saying that I'm not an expert on all things AI, and these are my own opinions and thoughts based on my experience working as a full-time in-house graphic designer, and in the last year or so, my experiences as a freelancer. The short answer is no. I don't think that AI is going to replace the need for graphic designers right now. Here's why. The majority of people who are using AI to create designs are probably not our ideal clients anyway. They might not have the budget to hire a graphic designer or to pay someone to handle their marketing for them. So in some cases, these are the people who are going to turn to sites like Canva and Kittl to produce those designs for them. And that's okay. I'm not hating on Canva or Kittl. What's important here is understanding that those probably aren't the people that we should be worried about. In my opinion, a business that doesn't have good branding is going to have a hard time standing out in a crowded marketplace. And when you're using AI to just spit out generic looking logos, you're most likely going to get an amalgamation of stuff that might look like something that's already out there. And that's the last thing you want for your branding. Right now, AI can do a lot of different things like generate illustrations, images, key art, and logos. The problem is that those things still need to be checked to make sure that they are not stealing and taking it from somewhere else. And you still need to be able to have a thoughtful approach and to be able to work with your clients to do things like making revisions, tweaks, and iterations in order to arrive at a truly successful and unique design. Commercial work is when an agency or a designer creates something for a client. They're hiring you to come up with some designs and then paying you for it. So if you're using AI to generate those images and trying to pass it off as your own, giving it to your client, you're also passing off potential copyright violations and maybe even lawsuits. I think this is probably a big part of the reason why so many agencies and companies are skeptical of using things like Midjourney and DALL-E, because there's no real way to know exactly where they're pulling images from when they're scraping hundreds of thousands of pieces of information found on the internet to create a piece of art. This can be anything from traditional art all the way to modern paintings and illustrations, pretty much anything online. So if you are creating commercial artwork, it's really important to be able to license those assets. Think of things like, stock photo sites. If I'm creating a piece of key art, I'm intentionally going on there and downloading those images, knowing that there's a number and there's information that can be licensed and tracked. Now, unlike a stock photo site, using AI makes it very difficult to license something that cannot be tracked back to a single source or creator. It is taking from those creators or from pretty much anywhere else. We don't really know. And if there's one golden rule in graphic design and other forms of art, it's don't steal people's work. So when is it actually helpful and okay to use AI in design? I've personally come to think of AI as a tool. It can be extremely helpful with design processes and workflows, but I don't think that it's ever going to completely replace the need for designers or illustrators. If I'm creating a piece of art and I need to use the generative fill option in Photoshop, that is very helpful for me because I may need to extend or fill in a background. And in that case, it's using data from the information that's already there in the image to fill in those gaps, instead of just adding a person or a whole new subject to the scene. Another way that AI can be really useful is if you need to maybe remove a zipper or a logo from somebody's clothing, similar to what you'd be able to achieve by using the clone stamp tool or the healing brush in Photoshop. You can also use AI to do maybe rough comps or sketches for like mood boards and inspiration decks, knowing and with the understanding that you would be replicating and reproducing that comp from scratch with licensable assets like we talked about earlier. So things like using stock photos, which again you can license, or maybe by setting up your own photo shoot and hiring a photographer to capture those assets for that specific purpose. But you could also then create something in your own style, meaning you might have to re-illustrate it or create and license typefaces that are not just being pulled from AI. So at this point in time, no, I'm not worried that AI is going to take graphic design jobs. I still very much believe that there is a need for talented, skilled, educated creatives and graphic designers in our field. For example, I might have an iPhone which can take pretty great pictures, but if I'm working on a real project for, let's say, a TV poster or a film poster, that doesn't mean that I'm going to take my iPhone to a photo shoot where I'm working with a celebrity. Hell no. Instead, I'm going to pay for a photographer that knows what they're doing and has the best equipment that we can get to help us capture what we need. So if you're currently working as a graphic designer or thinking about becoming one, you should absolutely continue to follow your passions and not be deterred by AI. Instead, focus on learning about composition and typography, the fundamentals and principles of what makes design good, and use your unique skill set to help craft stories and bring your clients' visions to life. All right, creative, thanks so much for watching. Keep designing, and we'll see you in the next one.